Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time, and thank you so much for being a viewer and a subscriber. In this video, I'll jump into some important alerts from today that you should know about. Let's jump right into it. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. Welcome to our channel. Welcome to the Ignition Time channel. Let's start with a very important meeting that President Biden and Vice President Harris had with members of the CDC, the members of the Center for Disease Control, and essentially what is a pep talk that President Biden gave to members of the CDC. This is extremely important. And by the way, folks, this is from my Twitter feed, so make sure to follow me on Twitter. The president said, you are the Army, you are the Navy, you are the Marines. This is a war, and you are the frontline troops. Pretty incredible comments from the president. Let's actually listen to some comments from the president, and then I'll jump into other breaking news. Let's listen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. There's an entire generation coming up that is learning from what you've done. I don't just mean learning about how to deal with a virus. Learning about it makes a difference to tell the truth, to follow the science, and just wherever it takes you, and just be honest about it. And that's what you've all done. So we owe you a debt of gratitude at all the lives you've saved. I carry in my pocket, as Doc knows, my schedule. On the back of my schedule, I have listed every single day with the exact number of people who have died from COVID the day before. I mean, for cumulative. We're at 535,217 dead as of last night. It's got to stop, but you're slowing it. It's stopping. Yes. And it really, really matters. You know, that's more people than have died in all of Americans, all of World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, and 9/11 combined. Combined in a year. In a year. And you are the Army. You're the Navy. You're the Marines. You're the Coast Guard. I really mean it. This is a war. And you are the frontline troops. Sounds silly to say it that way. Sounds sort of grand, but think about it. Finally, we got the vaccines, we got the companies together, and then they didn't have the wherewithal to be able to produce all the vaccines. Mm-hmm. So there's a thing called the Defense Production Act. As president, I'm allowed to enforce it. So I had people saying, stop making that and start making these. Mm-hmm. We put together, did you ever think you'd see the day, because you've all been involved in medicine, see two major drug companies cooperate for the good of the country? One come up with a drug, and the other say, well, we'll manufacture for you. Mm-hmm. So what you're doing really, really, really matters, not only, and I'll end with this, not only in saving lives, but changing the mindset of the country. Changing the mindset of the country. And it's affecting everything. Not just affecting people's health, it's affecting their attitude. The attitude about what we can do as a country. Everybody thought that I didn't quite understand when I announced that we had over 100 million shots in less than, you remember when I said my goal was to have 100 million shots in people's arms in the first 100 days as president? And everybody said, oh, that sounds, yeah, right. Now he should have been more, why didn't they say more? You know what I mean? But here's the point. The point is that it is changing the way we look at a whole range of things. And when I announced it, everybody but the vice president wondered why. I also pointed out that we landed a rover on Mars at the same time. Because this is the United States of America, for God's sake. There is nothing we cannot do when we do it together. And that's what you're showing everybody. So I came to say thank you. I really mean it. I have a whole lot of nice notes on here about the science, but I came here to say thank you. Yeah. Because you're not only you're changing the psyche of the country, you're saving lives.
So, folks, that was the pep talk, if you will. That was the speech from President Biden to members of the CDC. And folks, there's a lot going on. So I want to recap the top news stories from the day real quick as we head into the weekend. This actually happened at Mar-a-Lago. Former President Donald Trump's Florida resort is now partially closed due to an outbreak of the pandemic amongst the staff. Boy, oh boy, folks, we rarely have a situation where we have a slow news day with the way things are right now. And while all this is happening, I do want to give our viewers and subscribers an update about the stimulus check. The IRS chief has actually warned that the IRS may not be able to start sending out the child tax credit, payments in July. That was the instruction from Congress, because that is what was required under the $1.9 trillion law. So you'll see this tweet. By the way, all of these tweets are on my Twitter feed, so you can definitely follow along and you'll be able to essentially follow the news with me in real time. So the IRS is basically completely overloaded. Folks, the IRS has fundamentally, as you know, delayed the tax filing deadline for individual tax filers, although quarterly taxes are still due by April 15. The individual tax filing deadline has been delayed from April 15 to May 17. This shows that the IRS is completely overloaded. They need to send out stimulus checks. They need to send out these tax payments. They need to account for the $10,000, the $10,000, $200 unemployment benefits federal tax waiver, the $10,200 unemployment benefit tax waiver. They need to be able to account for it because that was just passed by the American Rescue Law. So it's very clear that the IRS has their hands full, and they are completely overloaded. I personally believe, everyone, that when we get through this pandemic, I personally believe we are actually going to end up much, much stronger on the other side. In fact, I'm not the only one. Let me show you this article on your screen. This is actually this was actually written by Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And so he, talked about tools to avoid a meltdown and save lives. And he talked about everything the Federal Reserve did. And let's actually scroll down. This part, folks, is really interesting. Let me go right to the end. This is important. But the recovery is far from complete. So at the Fed, we will continue to provide the economy with the support that it needs for as long as it takes. And he said, I truly believe that we will emerge from this crisis stronger and better as we have done before. So these are indeed encouraging words from the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And it's very clear that the Federal Reserve is going to do what it takes to make sure that this economic recovery continues. Speaking of economic recovery, there was a clash today, in fact, in the past 24 hours, between an amateur epidemiologist. Now, what do I mean by amateur epidemiologist? I'm referring to Senator Rand Paul, who spoke about a bunch of different research studies, and he was straightened out by Dr. Anthony Fauci, who basically said masks are not theater, because Rand Paul said that masks were theater, and who basically said, I don't agree with you. So I'll actually be covering that in a separate video, because it was a pretty unbelievable exchange between Rand Paul and Dr. Anthony Fauci. So make sure, if you're not a subscriber yet, you subscribe to our channel, because boy, oh boy, you definitely, trust me, you definitely want to check out that exchange. That was quite an unusual exchange. And as you know, I've already covered this on our channel. Different states have actually been complaining about the use of stimulus money because it prevents them from cutting taxes. And that has actually led to over 20 Republican attorney generals threatening a lawsuit, and the state of Ohio actually filing a lawsuit against the federal government saying, hey, you can't prevent us from cutting our taxes. This invades on state sovereignty. I actually think the whole situation is a little bit ridiculous. You're getting money from the federal government, and then you're complaining that you're not able to cut your taxes. That's a pretty incredible thing. Speaking of incredible, I did actually want to share this with our viewers and subscribers. Let's actually show you this in full screen mode, and let me actually help you understand it. This actually shows you the state of our country right now. So this was a simultaneous, this is very interesting. This is a simultaneous image of President Biden speaking. Look at the headline on Fox News. Biden delivers remarks on vaccine progress. Notice they don't say President Biden. This says President Biden gives update on vaccination rate and on vaccination race, and MSNBC says President Biden marks 100 million vaccines in 58 days. Pretty incredible difference in the same headline for the same image, everyone. And it's hard to understand sometimes how these news reporting organizations work. But folks, that is in a nutshell what's going on. Bloomberg actually had a very interesting article, everyone. Let me show you this article on Bloomberg. And by the way, definitely follow me on Twitter so you can check out all my retweets. At least $590 million in loans are going to come due for former President Trump in the next 4 years. More than half were personally guaranteed by him. And according to Bloomberg, his scrapyard of failed enterprises has only gotten more crowded. I know that former President Trump is going to continue to be extremely busy because he still has a lot of supporters, and many Republicans support President Trump, but there's definitely going to be a financial cash crunch for former President Trump based on all of these loans. He may have to liquidate some of his assets. And speaking of assets, let's go to the diametric opposite of a billionaire former president. Let's go to the diametric opposite: homeless. Our homeless fellow Americans. Let me show you this note on your screen from Heather Long from the Washington Post. Homeless Americans can indeed get $1,400 stimulus checks, but homeless Americans can file a 2020 tax return to claim the payments and get them on a debit card. And there's an article from MarketWatch that actually advises homeless Americans on how to do that. I'll be providing you with a link to these resources and my Twitter feed in the description section below. So that was it, everyone. That was the update as far as today's important alerts are concerned. I want you to know that I greatly appreciate you. Folks, the Ignition Time channel was originally devised with the intention of educating you about the country, about the economy, and about your money, and that is going to continue. I want you to know that I'm going to work hard. I'm completely committed to you, and I want you to understand that politics is always going to keep changing. It really doesn't matter to me whether you're for the red or the blue. It doesn't matter to me whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. What matters to me is that we always function as Americans and we always put our country first and we engage in healthy debate. So I'm encouraging you to comment below and participate in our community, because I think your comments would be welcome. And I'm also encouraging you to also support the channel by clicking the like button, by clicking subscribe, by enabling notifications. I want to leave you with one thought. In the end, what matters is the right amount of knowledge. And when you have the right knowledge, you can make the right decisions. And so I encourage you to seek out knowledgeable sources, not just this channel, but also other channels. And also, please make sure that you learn as much as you can, because as we emerge from this pandemic, I think that being educated and being knowledgeable, this doesn't mean necessarily going to school or something. This means following the right news sources, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's whatever news channel you watch, and more importantly, reading books, listening to audiobooks. I think this is going to be a very important part of our recovery going forward. So that's it, everyone. Thank you so much. I want you to know that I greatly appreciate you. I work hard every single day, and I will continue to work hard every single day. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.